massive stroke of bad luck. Because really, the surgical team's odds were good that her carotid artery, like a hose crimped in a gardener's careful hands, would not fail. Her mind, like the award-winning orchids of Nero Wolfe, whose books she must have reread at least a dozen times, wilted in that 11-hour surgery, which was as intricate and intimate as Debussy's Arabesque, which she would never play again. But maybe, when all this is over, she will open her eyes on a bed of orchids in a verdant valley somewhere, and stand, strong left hand locked with her mother's, who she hasn't spoken with since those harsh words of a 17-year-old all those decades ago on that tragic day, and banter, with her usual self-deprecation and wit, about the bad luck in artery and crumbly riverbank, both of which did not hold. It was not dead quiet in the room. If she had made those noises while we were standing around her bed as she napped, they would have been funny snoring noises, and we would have shared looks of laughter, careful not to wake her. If her lips had been pursed in playful imitation of a pampered heiress being arrested in one of her favorite types of YouTube videos, we all would have laughed. If her feet had ached from the traditional walk around the secret labyrinth, careful not to step on the cactus, which crowded between the lava rocks we had placed with care, we would have sympathized with a good-natured laugh. But our feet hurt from standing around her bed while celebrating her life with tears and reminiscences. A lesser token pain, uncomparable to her near-constant necropathy foot pain she had experienced for months. Our lips were pursed in a tearful grimace, uncomparable to her lips, so swollen from the recently removed breathing tube that she couldn't close her mouth. Our sobs and sniffles, uncomparable to her body trying to breathe on its own. Still, my sister leans past the corner of her bed, near the hanging bag that collects her urine, and caresses her feet. My brother tenderly dabs the saliva from her swollen lips. And once the doctor announces that her blood has stopped pumping and rolls her from the room, we continue to stand around her bed-sized emptiness in the family, while the whisk of a tissue, almost like a quick breath from yet another tissue box. Until, after what feels like a lifetime has passed away, William walks through the hole in the center of the room, takes a Krispy Kreme donut bought in honor of my mother, and eats it with gusto as laughter fills the room. What she left behind. The mother-shaped void in my life isn't a complete emptiness. Her 73 years left a life residue. Her identity strewn across the house in leather bookmarks, walnut eggs, color-rich boxes, a bright red birthday plate. But she isn't the secret stash of Peeps, which, like high-fructose corn syrup landmines, explode in the sorrow that hers was the last hand to touch them.
Okay.
Her light shone through 1,000 camera lenses, light bouncing off a stunning girl at her wedding reception, light from an exhausted, smiling mother and her wild home, light from a grandmother embracing an adoring child, both ecstatic. But she isn't in the chemistry or electricity of stored light, soulless counterfeits of a loving, breathing matriarch. No, the best residue of her 73 years accumulates in a 2.5 hour line at her funeral open house of family and friends, those nurtured for decades or months. We gather in gratitude because we know that when a friend comes to us in distress, or when our soul resonates with beautiful art, or when a witty, sassy thought pops into our head, her influence, her life's residue, is in our blood.